So, good evening, lovely people, and welcome to Leads. We are here with our September series that is about sex education and sexual awareness. We are fortunate to have Dr. Asha as our guest today. So, welcome, Dr. Asha, to Leads.
Namaste.
So, Dr. Asha is an educational scientist and academician, senior counselor, art therapist, child development consultant, master hypnotist, and learning and development analyst, life coach, WHO, and a graphotherapist. She is also the founder of Asha Daho Foundation, which is a counseling and therapy center with a vision to facilitate individuals to excel in their life by pursuing path of good to great. Recently, they have etched their mark by offering complimentary mental health care service to all the residential schools of Karnataka. They have positively impacted more than 856 schools, 11,000 plus staff, and 1.7 lakh students. Asha Foundation also offers many diploma and certificates in various kind of psychology courses. So now I hand over to my co-host Samita to set the context.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us and giving us your valuable time. It's a privilege to have you here. So, a lot of our audience will be wondering why is Leads discussing sexual awareness, sexuality, sex education, and we are also about development skills and strategies, and anything which needs to do with individual development, societal development, and has an impact on our behavior and our communication becomes important to address. Sex education comprises of awareness and instruction on human sexuality, which is embodiment of physical, psychological, emotional, social, and relational components of human relationship. The curriculum of sex education is essential for students to be sensitized from a very young age. It is important to understand and consider that the content should always be relevant and age appropriate. The unreliability of sources of information can be extremely harmful for growth and development of individuals, and it can also affect their self-esteem. So let me share with you certain statistics to highlight the relevance of sex education in our country. According to International Institute of Population Science database, 45% of women in India marry before 18 years of age. 22% of these women give birth to their first child before they even reach the legal age of marriage, which is 18 years. Unfortunately, the modern contraceptive use is as low as 12% in Delhi and 2% in Bihar in the age group of 15 to 19 years. There is an increasing burden of HIV/AIDS in the adolescent and young population of India. Unfortunately, 34% of the young population, that is adolescents, are comprising of HIV/AIDS patients today. Moving to child sex abuse, the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment revealed that approximately 53% of young boys and 47% of adolescent females have been victims of sex abuse. Further, there are so many myths, misconceptions around the third gender, LGBTQ community. There is no awareness of the concept of consent. A very few issues like reproductive system, menstrual hygiene, sexually transmitted uh, infections and diseases are covered, but very briefly in a hush-hush manner where the boys and the girls are put in separate classrooms and areas and just, it is brushed over. The current sex education program is termed as the adolescent family life education, but it has its own limitations. Most schools do not consider it important to cover it. It is the need of the hour to get over our conservative attitudes and revive the comfort and eloquence to openly discuss various aspects of sexuality with continued efforts at research and policy implementation level also. It is important for the safety and appropriate shaping up of our future generations. Sex education awareness can play a major aspect in our attitudes towards gender, equal opportunities, crime, mental health issues, and hence it becomes relevant for us to have a dialogue on this. So with this, I would like to begin today's discussion about sex education in our society. I personally feel it has to be a continuous process and age appropriate, right from school level to college level, where aspects like, you know, the spiritual connection to sexuality is not even covered or spoken about. And in a casual discussion, one of my friends mentioned that she learned she got her sexual awareness through experience and not through information and knowledge. So that is the sad state of our country. Suman ma'am, I'll hand over to you to ask the
Thank you,
first question.
Somita, for setting the context. So now we are on same page and our viewers are also on same page. So this remind me of my school days, Ashari, when I was in ninth standard and our class was going on civic subjects or social studies. And
Okay.
I still remember, and that really impacted me that time so badly, and not me, all my classmates, all my peer group girls. So the chapter was on, and one boy stood and he asked, and we had a mixed class of Hindi medium and English both. So he asked, the question was relevant because even I was not also aware that time. So he asked, Sir, Balatkar kya hai? What is Balatkar? So he very appropriately answered the question that it is the below 18-year-old girl when her modesty is attacked and something like that. So I was absorbing the answer and suddenly I hear the giggles of the boy, you know, all the boys. And we all girls got shocked, insulted, embarrassed. What was so giggling about it? So now I realize why it was there and why still it is there, because there is no proper imparting proper sexual education. So it is also even hurt me more when it is said and that we are from a conservative society. I totally disagree with this today, because India's ancient scriptures like Kama Sutra, Rati Rahasya, Samar Pradipa, Angaranga, and erotic sculptures of Ajanta and Ellora caves validate that our ancient culture was way advanced in imparting the sexuality education. So now it is a big taboo in our society. I really don't know why. So now I invite you, Asha ji, so to our viewer, just tell what is the importance of sex education and how the lack of the same impact our social fabric.
Okay. So in India, sex was never was a taboo. Actually, when we have to travel way beyond, BC, sex was something very natural. Sex was a natural act, and karma is passion. It is not a desire. Actually, we read it in different contexts. Kama Sutra is a sutra to be passionate. So, since we possess this body as a tool, it is important for us to carry this body gracefully in all the stages of life. And adolescence is also a stage of life which possess certain quantum of desires. And this desires in our Vedanta is be beautifully compartmentalized as para and apara. When it is para, it is out of peace and harmony. When it is para, I'm going to snatch it. I'm going to be so anxious, I'm going to dwell in it. It is completely out of pleasure principle. So there is no proper education from the basic. We all think that, the basic sex education has to be given at the age of 6 or more or something. Actually, beyond sex education, we need to make them realize about the sensitivity of the role as their gender, their own gender. It's very important. And when we think about the art of gender, why do I call it as art of gender? Our temples or any religious places have demonstrated what is this gender and the role of gender be very, very beautifully. And it is the 5 philosophies that we have made it as instruments. And this 5 philosophies speaks about LGBTQ beautifully, to women, very passionate and indulging in yoga mudras. That is understanding two bodies, how it goes together. And it is a taboo topic today. Homosexuality is a taboo topic. And everything is not procreation. Everything is not only sensuality. Apart from physiological intrusion, there are other fragrances that adds value to this act. And it is the need of the hour to educate a small child of 2 years to understand, because there is a very bigger void in understanding the gender. Why man behave in a certain way? Why women behave in a certain way? So we need to really get into the ground root and start educating would-be mothers. Before they conceive, they have to know that gender doesn't bring a big difference into their life process. So it is not a challenge for the woman. I always say that you are born in the same gender. It is a challenge for a man who is born in the opposite gender. He would have understood woman the moment he has got into the womb. He knows who this woman is. We need not tell him. But it is a new world altogether for him to explore who is this person. So it's more challenging for a man and not a woman. So it is very, very important for us to understand that these two genders are born with specific characteristics. If though we don't complement each other, definitely it is going to be a competition, and sex is also one byproduct of such competition. So this is a basic idea that I can give you when it comes to sex. And when it comes to India, gaslighting has happened. So when you get into the true psychology, gaslighting is sowing the seed of doubt that you are nothing, your learning is nothing, and whatever that you have learned, whatever you have experienced have no value. You need to learn altogether fresh. So this is a psychological term which made our belief system so weak that we don't value what we have learned from ages. And still today, there are temples where you can see erotic sculptures, and we call it as art therapists, we do call it as pharmacies. Pharmacies is such things that out of the physical appearance, you create expression. You don't need any teacher to teach it. It's your body and you possess it. And how do you understand? You understand in 4 different ways. If you are a mudha, that you are not guided by anybody and you are being ruled by anxiety, how do you understand sex as? I understand how people talk about it. I don't even know before Suhagrat, I don't know what is going to happen in this room. There are thousands and lakhs of women in this state of mind. They don't even know what is going to happen. So that is Muda state of mind, because it is such a taboo topic that we close the door, and father, mother doesn't kiss, doesn't hug each other when the child is there, right? It is obvious. It is obvious. It's a expression of compassion. Touch is a beautiful theory that Indians have come up with. So when we don't operate in a subtle way, when we operate through Muda, being not knowing much about it, and you get into your family, you get into the procreation, you raise one more child. So how is this continuous irresponsibility will be showcased? Number 2 is Shipta. When I'm restless, I'm going to experience it. As Soumyata said, I'm going to experience. I don't know. I want to see what is going to happen. So getting into early adolescence issues, getting into psychosexual confusions. I may not say it is disorders, confusions, because nobody would have guided them better. And the third one is Vikshipta. Now I know I'm going to teach everybody my own way. You know, we are in the Vikshipta state of mind now. So there are youngsters who are going to teach. Today I had this experience and you can really do this, you know, Vikshipta. So they want to keep everybody away out of it, and they want to, that is the reason youngsters would love to be with their own selves. For the very reason they go through this Vikshipta in the specific age. And Ekagra, when you get into a relationship, you are not supposed to see another gender there. The complete focus should be on the wife and the complete focus on the husband. So not understanding the gender, getting into a relationship. I don't know who this man is. I don't know who this woman is. I get into a relationship and get into a commitment of being for life forever for 7 janmas. Right? So that is getting into my focal points is completely into a wrong direction, which doesn't build, which attacks. And the last one is the Mauda, liberation. Sex is a liberation. So how are we going to teach our children is that bring back the wisdom. We need not invent anything. We need not rethink. Actually, what is existing in our Chandogya Upanishad, what is existing in Satya Upanishads, whatever the 108 Upanishads, you just bring it all on the table, segregate it. And yes, you need Western templates for people to understand it as a so-called the theories. Okay, you make it, but you see that you educate youngsters very well such that they have that equilibrium and congruency in understanding what is sexuality, what is gender, and what is relationship. Yes,
Absolutely, ma'am.
this is my answer for your question,
So, ma'am,
Suman.
yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, moving on to, there's a lot of hesitation around sex education in our country. The brainstorming for sex education was on since 1993, but the curriculum was introduced in 2006-7. And then again, it was withdrawn because the states protested. And there was a strong opposition, including on topics like premarital sex, masturbation, abortions, etc. Even sex educators today are very, very hesitant to talk about these subjects. And by the time we introduce sex education, children have already learned from other sources, media, friends, and the whole curiosity. So how important is this? It's important is this society? How important is it to overcome the societal hesitation and resistance to actually talk about this openly? And why do you feel there has been such strong, resistance from our political systems and our states itself in the whole sex education process?
Okay, I would like to discuss this in two different segments. Segment number one, the present state. Segment number two, what can be done? So segment number one, why it is because the teacher and the thought both have problem in expression. I talk about something and you see, when I educate these adults, I go to them and whatever you speak, they giggle. You say pen, they giggle. You say pencil, they giggle. They have their own, symbolization. It might be anything because they don't have proper instruments and tools which can make them realize and actually express in the open space. That is the problem. I see a biology teacher teaching the reproduction with so much of shame. Why shame? Why shame? To talk about your body, to talk about sensualities, which is absolutely a natural process. Why someone has to feel that shame? Because the four pillars are snatched away, which exactly speaks about the sex and the sexual congruency among society and societal influences. Number one is dharma, having sex because of procreation. I need to procreate, I need to reproduce, so I need to have sex, and there is a specific way for that. Number two is artha, to earn the motive. People used to have sex to get the motive satisfaction, ego satisfaction. And number three is kama, the pleasure, only for pleasure. I don't want to indulge in any emotional activities with this person. And number four is moksha, the liberation. That is, I like this person. I like this person in all the five facets. I like her physically. I like her emotionally. I like her the way she is, that is spiritually. And I find every objective to be a partner. So when this is very important for the youngsters to know at a very early age that biology is not sex education. Knowing the pieces and fragments of your genitals is not sex education. I will tell you a very simple case study, and this is a 11-year-old, and she comes to her mother and she is saying, my yoga teacher is abusing me sexually. And this mother files the case, and the yoga teacher has a history of beautiful track record for 30 years, and he is a 55-year-old man. And when I counsel the child, she is very clear that, she has confused with bad touch and good touch, and it was so much influenced by parents. And so much she was into fear and anxiety. Whoever touched, she used to manipulate. Is that good touch? Is that bad touch? Where is he touching? How is he touching? So he touched me, so he is the bad person. So how are we giving education? Western template doesn't fit here. We are all explorers. We are not investigators. We no need to have an idea how the sexual practices goes. We need not investigate. We are all explorers, that beyond sexuality there is something that exists, is spirituality. This is the essence of Kama Sutra. So we need to, if you allow me to be very open, Kama Sutra has to be taught to a child who is 5 years. What is passion? Children can't answer who you are. How do you expect this child to be very normal in psychosexual practices when this adult goes to, child grows to an young adult? It is not possible. So first we need to understand and completely wash off the taboos that we have with this particular word. And how to bring it. The next segment. Our Upanishads have beautifully said how sex education was given. There were 18 centers in India, and people know about Takshashila and Nalanda. People doesn't know about Kantanur, which is in our South India, Kerala. Kantanur had specialized in sex education. How were they supposed to? And at the age of 11 years, these boys and girls were sent for sex education, and we had around 11 centers who did only this, and their expertization was this, right? And how did they do that? One is pratyaksha, that is truth, reality. Sex is reality, and the process is reality. We need to procreate, and that is the first stage of understanding. So getting them the truth and reality, openly speaking about the illness. Kama Sutra also speaks about the illness, early adolescence issues, infections, hygiene, the touch, the amount of touch, and the amount of touch has 16 phases. You know how a man has to touch a woman and a woman has to touch a man. It has 16 phases. Who is going to speak all that to our, this is sex education. And the number 2 is Anumati. Anumati is taking the permission from my own self. Lot of times I have to please others, maintain a gang, and I have to be a representative of this. So I do a lot of times something where I fall into guilt. This is a sex between an 18-year-old and a 21, which happens because they meet every day and she is the sister of somebody. With mutual consent, they have sex. And after that, she falls emotionally, very clingy to this person, and this person is very clear that it's no more emotions. So because there is no anumati, that my emotions just went to this person just like that without even asking me. So how much control do I have on myself? Building of self is very much important. We need to completely concentrate on how to build this self among our individuals, whether it is a 3-year-old or a 30-year-old. And the number 3 is upamati, which is comparison. He's having 6 girlfriends. I'm not having one. There's a self-esteem issue. There is a self-respect issue. So when you compare, there was a comparison chapters being given, how to compare, to whom to compare. Compare with the nature, with a growing bud, with a blossoming flower. So there was a different degree of comparisons. So they did not tell that comparison is a wrong thing. They did show the way how to compare yourself. Not with another person who is just like you. Compare yourself to the beauty of nature, which is not you. So there was a beauty. There was a beauty in every aspect. And the number 5th is Shabda. When you listen certain words, what is that you feel? When you talk about something, how do you understand the feeling of another person? So it was made very natural that sex is not a taboo. So there were 11 centers who were continuously working on young adults between the age 6 and 17, providing this knowledge and making them capable to have a very good relationship with self and the people outside. That's how the society was strong, and we call that as golden period of Indian system.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Suman, did I answer your question?
Absolutely. I was so deeply into it that I was even not aware of all this. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes,
So
ma'am. This
viewers,
is
you
actually
can even
eye-opening.
ask, yeah, so I request my viewers also, if you have any questions, a right person is in front of us today. You can ask your questions, your doubts, your queries today. So Asha ji, to moving further ahead, see, we as parents, we all, like, not you, I'm talking about in female,
Yes, you can
like,
add me.
yes, no, you have a lot of knowledge. So we don't have that knowledge of formal sex knowledge. So there is always innovation about the right age, like for parents. What is the right age when to introduce sexuality to the children? So what is the right age to introduce sexuality and how it should be introduced? That is a big question. So you can please throw some light on this.
Sure.
Thank you.
So, when you are teaching sexuality to your child, it should start from the day the child starts understanding your small words. Maybe you are teaching apple, you are teaching ball, or something like that. And how does sexual education start? Sex education starts at home, obviously with parents. So when you are speaking about these things, when you are showing an apple, so this is what Dr. Cobb has beautifully said, that there is a cycle, locus of learning, whether it is sex education or any kind of education, the child has to go through this circle. I need to visualize first. I need to associate with what? With pictures outside, pictures inside, the internal dialogue and sounds. Once I'm done with it, then I will move. Where do I go? The next learning I do is ask questions. And what do I do after asking questions? I will reason out and frame my own inferences. Once I infer, then I will be evaluated whether I know or not. And then people will verify whatever you have known is right or wrong. And then I'll confirm the information what I knew is right. Is this happening in sex education? No. There is complete void in the locus because we don't show them the pictures. Okay, I see principals, sorry, no personal remarks. Principals selecting nursery book and there is a human anatomy beautifully painted. She say, no, I want a cartoon picture. If the
Okay.
child asks me, what do I say? You should say, you should talk, you should allow the child to ask questions, right? So sex education starts the moment the child is starting to learn little bit of things about the body parts. Can you openly teach the parts of the body, even the clitoris? Do you teach that? When the child reached 17 years or 15 years or 14 years and now 11 years, this is a part of the body. Why I was not being taught? Okay, so everything will become a biological learning and the limited learning. And once the child reach, this trust and comfort is built with the child. The parent will build that trust and comfort from 0 to 3 years. The trust, the touch that I give, and there is no way I teach good touch and bad touch to the person, to my child, whether the person is touching your private part or not. The touch, it might be a touch on the hand, my child has to know it is a bad touch. Am I teaching the vibrations of the touch? I'm only teaching my child the peripheral. That's why the confusions are. So I need to really teach the depth. So when somebody is touching me, the touch itself should The child should be able to understand by 10 years, no, this touch is not something that I like. I am going to refuse it. And number 3 is the sense of accomplishment and independence to touch their own body. Okay, do you love yourself? Never in my life I could hug myself and say, you're beautiful. So are we allowing our children in such activities that they don't need another body to pamper them? So why do they get into early relationship and sexual thing? Because of the compassion, lack of compassion and love. And abuse and love is always mistaken. These are all the byproducts of not understanding. So it will start at 3 and goes by stage by stage. By the moment the child is 11 years, child should be able to speak everything. Child should be able to speak about the menstrual cycle. The child should be able to understand what happens scientifically. And why PMSI? Did my grandmother never had? She did had PMSI. Why it is blown up into improper proportions today?
Absolutely.
Why? Because we are focusing on something which is not. Forgot focusing on something which is the basic idea of living. So moment the child reach 16 years, she should be knowing whom to have sex with. That is, this you are making this child so much prepared that she is understanding the fine lines between pleasure principle, ego, and I have some rules and regulations, conditions, and I will not let any elephant inside my room. Allowing an elephant is easy. How do you maintain that? It is a gross. So how do I prepare my child for this? She should be knowing. She should be knowing her worth. If I don't make my child know her own worth, the value of her own body and mind, she will definitely depend upon others for this source, and that's what we call it as sexual impairment. That is, I don't have the thought. And we Indians have a very strong body memory that there was microdosing happening in the temples in Dvitiya Prakara. So the temples usually have 9 prakaras, 7 prakaras, 5 and 3 minimum. And in the very second prakaras, there was microdosing happening for young adults. There was a priest who used to sit and talk about everything, and that was a neuro enhancement for memories. You know, you can talk to an opposite sex for some time and to understand. There were spaces given for them, and there were specific places made for such activities. So this is important that we should not draw a line between them. So the moment they go to 5th standard, I see them boys in one line, girls in one line. We need not tell them. Have mentioned in a psychosexual activity that don't push them to other gender. They don't like it. This is how the psychosexual development happen. Between the age 6 and 12, they like to be with their own sex. So you need not draw a forcible line between them. They are understanding their own things. So whatever that we are doing in a confused state of mind. We need to understand that Indians are explorers. Indians possess a very strong body memory, and Western templates are hard to understand, and when Western templates are hard to practice, and if you are bringing any educational ideas with these kind of templates, understand that you are an Indian and you take time to really buy the lines. Nobody buy my lines. There are viewers who are looking at me. Yes, we don't buy your line. That's okay. That's okay. But Indians take time to buy lines. That is why most of the advertising companies are in India. So,
Absolutely,
yeah.
ma'am. So here we had 2 audience questions by Neha Sahai and Sarah Alpha, which you have answered already, where you spoke about how should parents, take up the whole sex education thing. And now my next question to you would be, ma'am, how media influences our society's outlook towards sexuality, and how social media can be instrumental in creating a positive attitude towards sexuality, because social media is the largest media with which people are engaging.
Definitely, yes.
So what would be your take on that?
Yeah. So, if I have to talk about this, Prama is something very much important. We did have social media in our ancient society, and the social media was very clear that there are heaps of scriptures we used to take it as a by heart, and that is being transmitted as voice knowledge or voice intelligence. And there were smritis, which we call it as practicals. So shrutis were theories and smritis were practicals. So here practicals are always about social media. So we have that scripture which speaks about what is the duty, what is the stages of social media in enhancing the sex education in children and protecting them and making them better individuals who can defend, who can fight for their body, not to be touched disgracefully. So the number one is Prama, that is why I have to learn. Social media has to touch this point. This is a very sensitive. If a 11-year-old asks you, why I have to learn, Mama, all this? Why? Who is answering their why question? So they explore, they talk it out. With whom? With equal individuals who have equal doubts and confusions. They try to find their own answers. So social media has a very big role to play here, that why this children has to learn. We need to touch that point. There are numerous short movies that I have seen, which is being showcased on what shouldn't be done, or what are all the things that you should be careful with. People already know about child sexual abuse, and people already know about helplines and what is there on Google. People can easily, in a click, they can get the information. What is the role of media is to fabricate that tone part of the society which is not attending the why questions of our children. This 83% of our Indian young population are going through intellectual abuse. That is a major reason for us for a setback in our society with respect to sexual education. Number two is Prameya, the objective. What is, okay, I have to learn for this reason. What's the use? Anyway, I know it. I will explore in future. What's the use? So we need to bring the benefits of knowing it in the right age. And next, it is very important, Pramata, from whom are you knowing this? That's very important. I see young adults being very selective. Very selective. They don't want their parents to be on any of the social arc. They are very clear from whom they want what. Okay, if a mother is trying to talk about all this, she'll say, oh, Mama, please stop. So it is very important. Pramata is very much important. You need a person for that. You need a person to penetrate into their curiosity and anxiety and attend the right question at the right time without abusing children. Why are you asking this? Can we create that space for our children? And number 4 is Pramana. In what quantity and quality you have to give them? Teaching a 7-year-old everything. We are teaching a 11-year-old everything. What is the quality and what is the quantity of the information is going to which age group? It should be compartmentalized. And this is the work of social media. That you do dump everything into one movie. I just recently saw a very beautiful movie, but yet clumsy for me to understand, because everything, mother going through a multiple sexual thing is being showcased, and the daughter having problem and the son having problem and a gay relationship, everything is dumped into one movie or a short movie, and it is being released as series. So social media or social art does have the influence on setting up the quality, conditions and boundaries. And the last one is Anumana. Okay, I see something and I get some questions. Who are going to solve me? Where should I go? Where should I go? If I am sitting with my math teacher, she will say quadratic equation, please. So where do I go? Because the first priority of an young adult is to know this, because this is something they possess new. Anything new with them, you see how much explorers are they. So they are getting the new shape for their body, new system in the body, the new hormones being secreted, and they are in their own world. So they want answers for that. So nobody is answering. There is no space for them to explore this. In a way, it has to be. And finally, Jignasa. Jignasa is curiosity. Attend to their curiosity. And the curiosity is a very simple thing they ask. We want to know the procreation. How does it happen? And we want to know, people speak about the word pleasure. How does it look? Yes.
So I'm going to take a quick question from audience. Palvi Taneja says, hello ma'am, kids are kids and I want to ask, suppose I'm teaching my child about sex. What if other parents are not teaching their kids and my child shares with friends generalizing they also know? How to handle this situation, how to handle situation arising out of this? For example, ma'am, here my 5-year-old asked me, why do you use sanitary napkins? And I could not even dare to explain what menstruation is because I was scared that she'll go and talk outside and I'll be embarrassed in front of other parents. So here, ma'am, how do we handle, because a lot of parents are still not open about sex education.
Okay. So first let's understand what is the objective of me teaching my child and my motives. Are they free from taboos? Okay, the moment I to talk, I'm thinking about what others think. What if, right? So firstly, a taught and a teacher should be free from all these taboos, number one. Number two is we call Ramayana and Mahabharata as Panchama Vedas. And there is nothing that Mahabharata doesn't have. Veda Vyas was one person who introduced male surrogation. You know, such a great concept it is. So can I bring stories? When Draupadi was disrobed, we only speak about the 5 men in denial to protect their wife, and we know it at a peripheral level, but can we understand the depth? Baby, when you give up yourself, none of your 5 sense organs are going to protect you. You need to surrender your life. So can you protect yourself? Don't let your body like this. Don't let your mind go away. Can I insulate my child? So if I bring theory, they know it as, you know, you click of Google, they know everything. You need not teach them, but can I teach this to them? Can I teach this to them that there is Krishna everywhere, you know, and it is up to you how we are going to see him. You know, perception. A Krishna who is going to take away the sin out of your life. Are you seeing him like that? Are you seeing somebody like this? Are you seeing a guide? Are you seeing what exactly you want? A man of your life, how he has to be. And are we giving the options for them to, you know, make a choice? Or else have I given my child a chance to take? Not by speaking anything. So Panchama Veda is a beautiful instrument which speaks about Sthula Bandha, Yoga Bandha, and Atma Bandha. Can I teach my child this? Sthula Bandha is a body bandha. You just understand some body, you want that body, you want that love and compassion, and that is momentary. Do you want that? Are you looking for that? Or is that a yoga bandha? That is intellectual connection. Is that happening along with this? And is that a Atma bandha, that you be yourself when this person is? Is that happening? Can a mother speak to the child this? You need not teach her, is your boyfriend wearing a condom? That's a Western template. I'm just telling you this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a Western template, that how do you protect your body? There is an inner body which should be protected. Okay, as a mother, it becomes a prime responsibility for me to protect that internal body and the external body will be taken care automatically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we are, there is no quick fixes in any kind of thing. You have to learn fundamentally.
Yes.
And beautifully you explained to all this to us. So a final, Soumita, there any other audience question?
Yes, there are some audience questions.
Okay, please take
There is
on.
one question, ma'am, which I would like to put. Varsha Abhishek Tanwar asks, why do people engage in rape when there's an option of prostitution in the society, and why prostitution exists in the society? What is the requirement of such places? So it's a little off track, but if you would want to answer, otherwise we can go to our next question, ma'am.
I would definitely want to answer because this is the most common questions that everyone have. Probably, I would love to do justice for this. Why people get into,
Absolutely.
you know, these kind of activities when they have provision of having sex, paid sex. So let's understand that none of us get into any of the actions without a reason, very proper reason. When you get into the life sketches of these victims who are raped, you see a lot of voids in their life. Especially Sigmund speaks about psychosexual development. When he speaks about psychosexual development at 0 to 1, when mother doesn't feed properly, so the byproduct will be dependency and aggression. Either the man or a woman will become very dependent to another person, or else show aggression towards gaining sexuality. And if during 1 to 3 if a potty training is not given properly, either they become very clumsy, they become so much explorers of the body that they mess up the action. That is when the aggression goes to next stage. You know, sex is almost a dominant action, or dominating somebody or conquering somebody. It is a conquest, the need for the challenge. And if in the phallic stage, when the genitals develop, the boy automatically wants to be with mother and girls want to be with father. That's how we see, we would have explored it. I always wanted to be with my dad at this age. And we need to understand that this should happen. When they don't have that particular space at home, maybe husband and wife conflicts, maybe so many other reasons, inferiority develops. That is when they decide to conquer somebody or others, put them down such that rapes and other abuses happen. So this is the main reason. And it is very evident when we go back to our cultural expertise. We say sex fall under 3 categories. One is sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. You understand sex as sattvic, you find liberation, you find the soulmate, you find without even having the body beside you can actually sense the connection. That is a sattvic practice. When parents guide them properly, when parents be with them, show proper quality love, when the quality of life is on higher grade. So when the quality of life is mediocre, they become little bit of rajasic. That is not telling the parents and going for paid sex and all that. Tamasic is outrageously become an antisocial, that I want to have sex today with this person. Okay, when proper care is not being given, when proper understanding and empathy is not shown for this poor people, it's not only happening for women, it is happening for a man also. There are people who are undergoing even after marriage, they undergo all this. When I don't promote, my concern, it is okay for a husband to have sex, or it's okay for a wife to indulge in sex because you are my wife or you are my husband. So this is happening on daily basis. It is not being labeled as rape. Willingly or forcibly, I get into it. There are thousands of women and men who are going through this. So this is without a reason, nothing is going to happen. So we need to understand that how we raising a child is almost raising a national entity. It is a nation building exercise. Yes.
Absolutely, ma'am. So, ma'am, last two questions. We know we've taken a lot of your time. So, my second last question would be, ma'am, I'm going to take up this question, and that is, how would you, how would have acceptance of LGBTQ been shaped up if we were more sexually aware society in terms of their legal right to even register as the third gender, then decriminalization of 377? LGBTQ are still not accepted. It's still being considered an unnatural phenomena, and they are as natural as heterosexuals. I mean, we just started the discussion that it was there in our ancient scriptures. And so how should we be more inclusive towards them as a society, and how should we be sensitizing our children and adolescents towards this?
One thing is psychoeducation. When you see the flag of LGBTQ, it's a rainbow. There are all colors. There are all colors. There is blue, green, and violet, everything. And this is also a beautiful color. So I have two individuals who came for counseling, and they were so hesitant to speak about it. They love each other, and both are two boys actually. So that's okay. And they were wondering, how could you accept us like this? It's very important for us to understand the basic need is love and compassion. The basic need, the desire to get love and compassion from whom? Gender should not matter at this age for the very reason the role of anxiety, the role of unconsciousness, defense mechanism, and attachment are the four segments which make somebody wish for somebody. And that somebody can be of own sex or somebody can be of opposite sex. So when it is heterosexual, we are not 100% heterosexual. Homosexuality is there on a pH like acid and base test. You know, we incline towards little bit of homo or little bit of this. There is an inclination in everybody. There is an oscillation in everybody. But when you have this as a biological need, so we need to make parents understand through psychoeducation, and this will happen slowly because it is under evolution. We are hitting the rock back. So sexuality has undergone tremendous evolution and drifts in understanding. Something which was highly taboo, love marriages were highly taboo. Now love marriages are okay, little bit okay. Okay, so like that, this will require some time for people to understand, for time for people to talk about it. It's okay to talk about it, and society will need certain time to seep into such kind of issues. So this is one important thing. And the second thing is, how do we see them? How do we see them is very important thing, that specific instruction manuals should be brought in when it comes to LGBTQ. For the teachers, proper training has to be given how they are supposed to communicate. And we have to not label them as different, but consider them as they are. So when I was speaking to these guys, I told that you are very special. How do you feel? That I told, God is fed up of creating like people like us, and you are a wonderful and creative creation of him. So this was something that it made them feel light about it. It's such a unique thing happening. And when you, among red roses, if you see a blue rose, that as Suman said, your beads actually caught my eyes. Why did that? Because it was colorful. So this world is colorful, and we need all colors to make it colorful. Why don't we have that perception towards our genders also? So this is my answer for
Thank you.
some of
Thank you.
the.
Yeah. So,
Thank you so much,
Dr.
ma'am.
Asha, how do you think, it's our final and last question, how do you think our society would have been different, and if we have been open about sexual awareness and education?
Okay, sexual awareness and education. There are three confusions, a national confusion on this: marriage, relationship, sex going together. Marriage is a different institution, and relationship is a different institution, and sex is a different institution. Can we make our children realize which kind of relationship and marriage they want to get into? So there were around 8 phases of marriage that were being taught to them during sex education. Number one is, this is Brahman, that is Swayamvar. Girl or boy will choose somebody who could connect to them intellectually, who could connect to them courageously. So that was one way of marriage. So there are girls who will say that, no, if he is getting this rank in this university, that is when I'm going to marry. Okay, you are going to marry, and what about the other connections? Can a parent speak about it? If parent himself is taking the choice for this, I'm going to look for a boy for my child in this university. People have become crazy on that. So the number two is Daiva. That is, it depends upon the competency, abilities, and skills of a person. That there are people who love poets. There are people who love artists. It's about the sadhana. You know, what connects is very much important, whether it is sexuality, relationship, or marriage, has common grounds on this. That has to be explained to every child. And Arsha is receiving help from the groom. There are a lot of marriages which has happened which is compromised. Groom wants this girl and they will take something and give, and that did existed in India. And that did not exist in India at a lower hierarchy. It existed in a higher hierarchy. Kings used to do this to develop and conquer other associations. And Prajapatya is for procreation. I married this girl because I need a family and my family has to grow. It's a very simple thing. That is being followed from 200 years. Still men and women are not happy in their relationship. Okay. And Asura, winning somebody. Hey, this is a beautiful girl. I want to have her beside because I need to tell my friends, hold her as a trophy. Vice versa. I'm not just winning to anything. Oh, he possesses Royal Enfield. Huh? Okay, he has to be my boyfriend. I can tell my girls. Okay, so this will become Asura. We need to tell them this is not the right way of getting into a relationship. Are you having sexual relationship? Are you defining it as a lifelong relationship with marriage and procreation and all that? How are you looking at that? Can we ask that with our individuals? Gandharva Vivaha is the basic rock of India. We are born out of Gandharva Vivaha. Bharata is born out of Shakuntala and Dushyanta's beautiful love story, who selected each other with different entities. And Rakshasa is what I spoke about, rapes and other things. So these are all the 8 entities. Can we speak about these relationship contents? That relationship is different. Love is different. Whatever emotions that you are having, it's a decision. It's not an emotion. Love is not an emotion. Can we knock the right door and tell them that don't get abused? Just because somebody came on Valentine's Day, gave you a beautiful rose, don't get carried away. Think on all these 8 aspects and ground yourself very well. Yes.
Thank you, Ashaji. So I would like to tell you,
so
our
much,
viewers are saying, Ranjita, very nice point, ma'am, very useful info, very informative, and thank you for the lovely session. So these are the viewers' view, and we are really, really thankful to you, Dr. Asha, coming here and giving a new perspective towards sexual awareness and sexuality. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Some wonderful insights, and
Yes.
more than 100 people logged in. And I
Yes.
think we have learned so much in this session, and it's been
Absolutely.
a very, insightful and knowledgeable session.
Thanks for giving me an opportunity to talk about such a bold topic. So it's a wows and visuals and wonders for Samyata and Suman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.